everyone. Welcome to another episode of Into the Pit. I'm so excited because I have my friend, Dr. Alexa Costa, on this evening. She's known as the Hollywood Medium, and she's got a lot of exciting things that it's happening, and we want to talk about those. And how are you doing today?
I'm actually doing pretty well. I had a little hiccup this morning. I'll tell you all about it in a little bit, but other than that, it's like a woosah moment, and this is good for me because it's taking me away from what happened earlier today. So
Uh-oh.
I'm happy to be here.
And so how's things with this whole lockdown with you?
Well, I'm actually quarantining in Texas. I've been here for about a month and a week now, 5 weeks more or less, and I made a run from LA because things were getting a little bit bad over there. The lockdown was pretty bad. So a lot of violence, increased violence, I should say.
Oh,
And
no.
yeah, so it's getting a little bad. Even, in the areas where you would think that it would be okay, it wasn't so much. So people were just getting antsy. So I skedaddled, if I could say that word. I left and I'll be back as soon as things start to calm down a little bit. I know now, like everyone that is there, like my friends and family that I left behind, they say things are slowly opening up, but I'm here in
Yeah.
Texas.
I have to admit, I don't really watch the news anymore unless it's the weather. But, we've got to where during the day the TV stays off and, we might listen to the radio. But I haven't heard anything about all that stuff going on. I hear little bits and pieces about them opening stuff over here, 25% capacity. So a lot of the places are still not opening because they're not going to make money that way.
Right. So that's the same thing in LA. I'm like you. I don't like to listen to the news all the time. I actually hardly ever watch TV. There's just so much negativity. But I do have my friends and family who are always keep giving me updates. And I have this Citizen app. I don't know if you heard of that, but the Citizen app tells you like all the horrible things that are going on in town, in your neighborhood, in your area. And since my Citizen app is linked to my neighborhood in LA, I constantly get all the updates, and it's like, it's so bad. We're talking about mini, not riots, but gatherings, if you will, and people protesting and burning things down. And
Oh,
I
no.
mean, it's like kind of like that's what happens every day in LA. Kind of, it's not so bad. It's, I guess, it sounds worse than it is. But when it's happening around you and in your neighborhood, it kind of sucks. It
Yeah.
gets scary. So. Yeah, so I know that the beaches are opening up and the trails have opened up, but the coffee shops haven't, and the restaurant dining hasn't. Like here in Texas, where I'm at now, we do have limited capacity openings. Like you could go have a dinner at a restaurant, but in LA you can't, not yet. So.
Yeah, we were we were coming back home actually from some friends' house that they're kind of out in the boonies, and we passed through this town and they had a bar open, and I could tell you I don't think it was just 25% capacity there, but it was
Uh,
open.
yeah,
And
I
all I know is I'm glad that Whataburger has at least kept the drive-through open. So
Hey, there you go. Yeah. I actually did a total Texas thing that I never thought I'd do as an adult, but I went tubing down the Comal River in New Braunfels.
oh,
And
nice.
are you familiar with that? I mean, it's just beautiful. And so it was actually a lot of fun. I almost drowned. I had this premonition on the way there, and I'm telling my daughter, I said, I'm gonna drown. I just feel it. I called my other daughter who's in LA, and I'm like, you know what? I love you, but I'm going tubing, and I think I'm gonna drown. And then I think I spoke it into existence because I was drowning. My tube flipped. My puppy went one way. I went the other, and he did rescue himself. And so I'm like, okay. And he came back for me, but he's a little tiny thing, so he can't rescue me, obviously. But it ended up working out. I didn't drown, but it was pretty scary. And I think I panicked myself to that point, But we were going down this like rapid shoot thing, and I completely flipped. I'm like, what the hell? But it was
Oh,
fun after. When it was happening, it was horrible. So
oh, I can only imagine.
it was horrible. But
God, I hear more than one story about that kind of thing. going
Yeah.
down that river. So I haven't actually been down there, but we're not far from it. I think
It
we're
was
like an hour, hour and a half away.
it's very beautiful. I did end up getting all busted up. I mean, I recommend it, but I don't recommend it. Yeah.
I hear
Yeah.
you. So,
So
what's new going on with you?
okay, so there's a lot of things in the works. COVID has actually put a halt to a lot of things, but opened up a lot of doors for me. The latest and greatest is I did get called to do an investigation in Las Vegas, and I'm going to
Ooh,
say this. I was there, and it was beautiful. It was at the Paris Hotel, actually. And I can't really give all the details because that it's not my investigation to talk about, because I don't want
yeah,
to. They haven't done what they need to do with it to air it on whatever platform they're airing it. So I don't want to give it away. But I will say that it was a lot of fun, and it was a lot more interesting than I expected it to be, since the hotel is fairly new. I thought, oh, what's going to be here? Not a whole lot, but it was eye opening. It was pretty amazing. And so it kind of just gave me the motivation to just like do more, right? Because I hadn't
yeah.
been, I was like, oh, okay, well, we're in COVID. I'm not going to be doing anything. So, but because we were in COVID, there was limited, actually, there was the first couple of days that we were there, it was limited capacity at the hotel. And then all
Mhm.
of a sudden it shut down to everybody. But those of us who were there were able to stay until we found an alternate place to stay. So we didn't get kicked out, which is wonderful. We got weaned out. I'm going to say that. So, like, they didn't say, okay, you have to leave now, but they did. They kept telling us, okay, well, we're going to lock down the hotel on a certain day. We got these, like, this many days to go. So it was pretty neat because there wasn't a lot, there was hardly anyone there. And
Yeah.
so we had the hotel to ourselves. So pretty much, I mean, not completely, but pretty much. So it was kind of a fun experience. I think that I don't think there would be any other time in my lifetime that I would experience such a grand hotel with such few people in it, right? So
Mhm.
it allowed for really great investigation. And so I'm very thankful for that. And then I got to go, I'm going to give a little shout out and a plug to, if I say his name right, I'm all Mexican, Zach Bagans.
Oh
Am I
yeah.
saying? Yeah, because I did visit his museum that he has there. And I'll tell anybody who is into the paranormal, it's an amazing place to go. At first, I thought, oh, it's cheesy, it's touristy. And I was like, no. But again, because it was COVID season, it had just started, there was very few people there, and the line was not long. Actually, I think I was second in line.
Oh,
And yeah, so which is great because I heard prior to COVID that it would take forever to get in. So it didn't take forever to get in. It was pretty amazing. He did a fantastic job putting it together. There's a
mhm.
lot of artifacts in there. If I can, I'm like shamelessly plugging. No one's paying me to do this, but
No, go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
that I will have to say, like for people like us who are enthusiasts of everything paranormal, it's a really amazing place to go to. I thought at first, wow, this place is not going to be like the greatest. It's just going to be another tourist attraction, but it was much more than that.
Oh,
And
cool.
so, highly recommend. The house itself, where it's housed, it's amazing. It's like a maze inside, and it's like a never-ending maze. Either I was, I don't know, what am I saying? I was either blinded by how big it looked. Maybe they did some tricks to make us think it's bigger than what it is, but it was pretty huge, and it took a long time to go through it. And he filled it with a lot of great things. So a lot of haunted items and a lot of artifacts. So I would say it's a definite go, worth the money.
So
Yeah.
I don't think you realized I was going to have a co-host today.
Oh, well, that's okay. Hi. I have to
She,
tell you. Oh, no, tell me.
this is Maggie. She is my what do you call that? My emotional support animal. So
Oh, nice. Okay. Hi, Maggie.
so
Okay, so
yes, she's insistent upon being in on the show today. So I'm gonna let her.
that's perfectly fine. I'm going to tell you, this is a great segue to tell you what happened to me today. It's shameful, but it happened. So, my puppy, like 2 days ago, he brought a kitty to the front door.
Oh my
And
goodness.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. So the kitty, I was like, I didn't really want a kitty, right? But this kitty was so precious. I would say was in the past tense because today the little kitty passed away,
Oh,
unfortunately. And so I feel so guilty because I was working and my little puppy, his name is Pepe. So he was playing with the kitty and he was a little rough and he was just making too much noise. And I'm like, you guys stop, like just stop it. I'm trying to work. So I'm like, you guys go play outside on the porch. And then, couple, like, I don't even know how many minutes later, because I was lost in my work, that I hear Pepe crying. I like go check and the little kitty cat died.
oh,
And so I think they played a little too rough. So it was just shocking. I didn't expect that to happen today. And because I'm sensitive, like not emotionally sensitive, but sensitive as far as I'm a medium and how, we pick up on these things. And so, like, from that moment on until now, I feel like a little bit of, I don't know, I'm going to say animal spirit vibrations around me. And I
yeah.
just have been trying to shake them off, and it hasn't happened. So it's like a heavy weight, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well,
So
since you mentioned that, can you kind of explain your abilities? Because I know you're very talented, very gifted. So,
thank you. So yes, for sure, I'll explain the best I can. You guys hear that? Sorry. So
no worries.
yeah, I live in the city slash country. No, I don't live in the country. No, I live in a small town near downtown, and that kind of happens from time to time. So I'm a medium, and I'm an intuitive medium, which means that I pick up on vibrations and sensations. Um, I have for decades studied on top. Okay, so let me take you back. We've had this conversation before, so I don't want to bore you to death, but I know for the viewers out there who haven't heard of me or don't know about me, when I was a little girl, it started back then. And I think that it happens for most mediums when they're children, right? It's when we realize that something is off. But we don't know that because we're kids, we're children. And so for me, I was able to tap into the spirit world since I was a child. So I'm going to take it back to maybe 4 years old or 5 years old. I don't know exactly. With me being able to pick up, I don't want to freak anybody out, and I am a weirdo, so we're going to leave it at that. But when I was really young, I would go to sleep, I would close my eyes, and I would see a demon every single night when I
Ooh,
closed my eyes. I was like not even asleep, but I was just closing my eyes. But not just that, but I would see lights in my room all the time, all around my room. But I just thought it was normal. I didn't. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think, oh, this is weird. Let me run and tell my mom and dad. I just thought everybody saw that when they went to bed, right? So that followed me throughout my childhood, and the sensation and the it developed from that to hearing things to seeing things. And all of my childhood, it didn't happen all of the time, but when it happened, it was like a very clear occurrence. It wasn't like, did I or didn't I? It was, okay, yes, I did. And so as I went into my 20s, matured, I started researching, and that brings me to where I am now. So I'm a certified thanatologist, which is somebody who studies death and dying. I have been doing that for over 25 years of my life. Let's just say over 20, because it may be 23, 24, whatever. But it's been well over 2 decades that I've dedicated my life to the paranormal, life after death research, communicating with the other side, and really learning how to hone my skills. And as you know, and a lot of people out there, but not everyone knows, I was in prison for probably 6 to 7 years. I have to do the math. I'm trying to forget all that, right? But during that time, because I didn't have anything else to do other than to experiment with the paranormal and experiment with my mind, I was able to learn to open myself up even more to receiving messages from spirit and in controlling how and when I allow it in. So yeah. So
and
something that occurred naturally, I'm sorry, so yeah, something that occurred naturally is now developed, fully developed, I think.
so two things I'd like to know.
Yeah.
When, because I know when you're a child and you still have that innocence, you haven't reached that age of accountability. um, that seems to be like a heightened time. And so after that period, I guess you could say around your teenage years is when you kind of reach that age of accountability. Does did you find that those abilities kind of diminished, or were you, honing in on them so well that they were growing, or did you have to work harder at it?
No, it was growing. Let me ask you this before I feel really uncomfortable. You know me, I'm an open book. I don't care about telling you these things. I don't know if I should be looking at the camera here or looking at the camera there. Am I okay?
You're perfectly fine.
Right. Okay, because I'm looking straight at you, and I just want to make sure that you guys are good on that end with what you're seeing on this side. So I'll tell you that I didn't, when I was growing up from a child to a teenager, I didn't purposely try to hone in on my skills because I didn't understand them, right? So it didn't scare me and it didn't make me curious to see what was happening because I just thought it was normal. I thought everybody felt those things, saw those things, and heard things. But it's interesting that you asked me this. I want to make sure that I answer your question in a way that makes sense. So I have to say this and then I'll come back to that.
Sure,
So
sure.
both of my daughters made a comment not that long ago, just a few months ago, and we were just talking about how every one of our houses is haunted or has been haunted. And then one of my daughters is like, she's like, Mom, and they both kind of said it at the same time, like, we don't think the houses are haunted, we think you're haunted. And it's like, okay. So I was like, yeah, it made a lot of sense, because so going back to when I was a little girl, and my dad was a home builder, so he'd buy homes aside from his regular job for fun, I guess, and for income and profit. He would build houses, we'd move into them, he'd sell them for a profit, and we'd move somewhere else. And every house that we went to was, I experienced things. And so I think that since I was a little girl, I attracted the spirit world. And I think it's been following me since I was a little girl from house to house. And so one of those houses, brand new construction, my dad built it from the ground up, on vacant land. So there was nothing there before. My mom would always, and my dad both, but more so my mom would always yell at me. My bedroom was right on top of their bedroom. We had a split level home. And they never believed me. They're like, why are you slamming your drawers? Why are you running around your room? I'm like, at this point, maybe 12 years old. And I'm like, I'm not doing those things. And they wouldn't believe me. And one night, my cousin spent the night, and my mom, goes up the stairs, banging on the door. We're asleep. And she's like yelling, like, quit making all that noise. Like, why are you guys not in bed? And so my cousin's like, what are you talking about? We are asleep. We're in bed. We're asleep. And not until then did they believe me that I didn't have anything to do with what they were hearing.
Right,
But I
right.
wasn't hearing it, right? So like I didn't hear it. I was fine. I will say that I sensed and experienced things, but I didn't hear what they were hearing. So on occasion, there would be this long black hair on my bed. And I don't have long hair. This is extensions, hair extensions. My hair's short. It's pretty much always been short. So I don't have long straight hair. And I would always find a long straight strand of hair on my bed. And
Mm,
so, I guess, did I answer your question? I don't know if I answered your question. So
yeah,
yeah, it just grows. I guess the awareness grows as you get older. You start being aware that something is off. So I went from knowing that something I thought was normal. So I went from thinking everybody sees a demon, everybody sees these lights floating in the room. I went from that to knowing that something was off. And I think that was probably the turning point for me is when my mom, especially, I would say my parents, but my mom especially would yell at me for something that I wasn't doing or controlling. And
um,
so at that point, I think was the catalyst of me thinking, okay, and actually that's the first time in that house that I physically saw, not like when I closed my eyes and saw the demon, that's one thing, but when I physically saw a ghost manifest, that was in that house. So, and that was right around 12 years old.
you
So,
know, I've encountered a lot of different people that have abilities similar to yours, and not every one of them has that same kind of experience like you're talking about. Um, why is it you think that some people they're almost like like a a lightning rod, or I guess
Yeah.
is the word. There's another word, but
Yeah.
I'm not thinking of it. Um, and forgive me, sometimes I stutter. But you have this attraction to where spirits are just automatically drawn to you. My wife has that same ability. What do you think that comes from, and why some mediums and psychics have that while others don't? They only experience something when they go somewhere, and then when they leave it behind.
Okay, so my answer is probably not very politically correct, but I'm always, like I said, open book and honest about my answers, and whether they're accepted or not is my opinion, right? So, so in my studies, I'm an avid reader of religious texts,
Mhm.
and the Bible says that we're all given a certain gift,
Right.
right? So I think that just like a painter can paint or a cellist can play the cello, I think my gift is that, to be able to attract and communicate and heal others by the messages that come through. So I firmly believe that that's my gift. That I don't know how to sing. I don't know, how to do a lot of things. Like I wish I could, but I don't know how to do those things. But I know how to do this, and I think it was just something that I was born with,
Mhm.
and something that I needed. Like a long time ago, I did stop fighting with my puppies running around. If you hear him, sorry, his little pitter patter. So that's really what I think it is. I'm not going to go on and say it's a gift from God. I'm not going to say that because that might offend a lot of people. But I'm going to say that I think that it is a gift that is no different than somebody who knows how to sing or play the piano, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So,
Um,
not something
well,
I wanted.
you know, it is a certain gift. I will agree to that. But okay, let's put it this way: when I lived in LaPorte, Texas, the house that I lived in, you could walk out my front door, and then like 3 minutes, you're right there at a cemetery. And I lived there for 10 years. The last few years, things started happening, and like I had a lazy boy chair, and I'd get up, and it would be turned upside down. And this, you kind of freaked out a little bit. I mean, yes, I do paranormal investigations, but I don't expect things that big to happen, especially in my home.
Yeah,
My wife, who has similar abilities to yours, and by the way, she is in training to get her psychic abilities or mediumship better,
nice.
because
Congratulations.
she is an empath. um, Things really increased when she moved in. I mean, things were happening. I had a grandfather clock that I got when my grandfather passed away, and these things are huge. Got a huge base on it. It's not something that, I mean, you have to actually push it to get it to turn over. But we'd get up, and it would be laid over on its side. And
Wow.
if that thing falls over, I don't care if you're dead asleep, it's going to wake you up, because that's a
Yeah,
lot of racket.
yeah.
And how is it these things are like that? Um, Different stuff happens. Um, then found out that we had a portal in one of the rooms, and the medium that we took to your house, she explained that these entities were coming through. They were just passing through, but they let us know that they were there.
Yeah. Okay, yep. So I think that's actually really fascinating. I think that, okay, so having said that, the cemetery, I actually have a cemetery close to my house too. I don't know if you remember or if we even talked about it. I don't remember if we
Yes,
talked about it, but it is across
I
the street and
I
hidden,
do.
right? So I think that because of the close proximity, well, let me say this. First of all, I don't think that the cemetery is full of all these ghosts and spirits. I don't think that. I think there are some lingering, but I don't think that it's a place to go and be scared. Like a lot of people say, oh, don't go to the cemetery because, there's spirits hanging around. Yeah,
Mm,
okay. Maybe just like at the grocery store, there may be spirits hanging around. It's not because it's a cemetery that they're going to hang out there, you know?
right, right, right.
Um, so, but the close proximity of a cemetery in the house, yeah, okay, it opens up, right, to more activity than if you were far away. Because, you know, when somebody dies, I'm also saying this with another story behind why I'm saying that. When somebody dies, I can tell you for a fact from my experience that the spirit does linger for a certain time. I don't know for how long. I don't know the answer to that after death. And so I could see how your house being nearby attracted spirits. I could see how they're passing through, and I could see how they want to make themselves known. I've learned from my experience that a spirit that is around us doesn't necessarily want to do harm to you and doesn't really care if you notice them or don't notice them. But when you do notice them, it's like, this person can notice me, and then they do more, so you notice more, right? Kind of like a narcissist, if you will, like look at me kind of thing, like I'm here. And so I don't want to like bring in too much of my family and all that, but I will say one of my cousins died, and about a year ago, a little over a year ago, and I was at her funeral, and I was at the church where they were having the, open casket, take a look before you say your final goodbyes. And I don't know to this day if I saw or felt, I don't know if we talked about this or not. I don't think I told you, but maybe I did. Um, I saw or felt, I still to this day don't know if I saw or felt my deceased brother come and basically usher her out. But I
Wow.
do remember feeling, we didn't talk about this, I don't think, did we?
No, we didn't.
So here I am. In my perception of things, I was in their presence, both of them. And I was overwhelmed with such grief, even right now, fighting back the tears. It's like it's a feeling of this is what an empath, right? You get overwhelmed with emotion, sensation, visions, thoughts, right? So sometimes it's hard to decipher whether it's real in front of you or if your mind is telling you otherwise, right? And so I know and felt their presence, both of them. And it consumed me with all the grief. I just couldn't help it. I just started bawling. And I'm not that type of person. So I went to the bathroom to compose myself, and I couldn't stop crying. I just felt their presence so strongly there. But I felt like I saw them as well. Um, so Okay, so what I'm saying is that I know that my cousin was there. I know she was at her own funeral. And not only was she at her own funeral, but my brother, who died many years ago, was also there. So it was pretty amazing to feel that. I haven't said that to any of my family because people don't want to hear sometimes my experiences. They don't, either they're afraid of them or don't believe in them or just don't want to hear because it stirs up emotions. And so I don't. So I'm like, I keep a lot of things to myself. So this outlet is, or this interview, I guess, is an outlet for me with that.
Oh
Because
yeah.
sometimes, yeah, these things they get, if you don't let them go and release them, they can weigh you down. Just like the kitty today, I tried releasing it, but it was weighing me down. Well, this also has been weighing me down. And it's, I think, the first time that I tell anybody I told my daughters, but, we didn't talk in depth about it. But those things happen, right? And so as a medium, um, these things are around us every day. Like I don't have to go looking for it, but when it doesn't happen all the time, but when it happens, it's like, dang, that happened. And it was so real. It's as real as you and I talking right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know why this popped up, but I did an interview with Sarah Lemos, and Sarah has been on the dating scene. And I asked her, I said, when they find out that you're a medium, you're a psychic, um, does it make it difficult to date when people find this out? Or they got that idea of, uh, I'm never going to get away with anything because she's going to know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Do you run across that?
All the time. I'm so single. I've been single for so many years. I'm trying to find somebody to date. Like, I don't make any qualms about it. I would like to have a boyfriend to date somebody. And I can't because I get the same exact thing. And it's like, dude, I can't read your mind. You know, it's like, yeah, I mean, these guys, like, they literally want to know, can I read their mind? Do I know when they're lying? Do I see what they're doing? It's like, no, no, and no. And I don't care, you know? It's like, but yeah, so it's really hard. Like, I don't want to lie to somebody and not tell them who I am and what I do,
Hmm.
right? But the moment that it comes up, which is like, I mean, I want to just say this. I always tell somebody I was in prison and I'm a medium because those are like the two deal breakers, right? For the most part. And so I don't want anybody to waste their time and I don't want to waste my time either. And so they could like brush off the prison. They think it's a bad girl thing and it's hot. And I'm like, okay. Which makes me question them, right? Like,
Right,
it
right.
totally makes me question, is this the kind of guy I want to go out with? Because number one, I didn't want to be in prison and I'm not proud of it. And hey, Jeffy, my little puppy. But so anyhow, so putting that aside, the biggest issue they have is not prison. The biggest issue they have is me being a medium. And I don't get called back after that for the most part.
That's
So
that
yeah,
sucks.
it sucks. Let me tell you, it really sucks. Well, like I have been in the past 2 years, probably like on 5 dates.
Oh,
So yeah, it sucks a lot.
well, darn
And
it. I'm sorry I'm married, or I would take you out.
well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. So your wife, I nothing.
Well,
Yeah,
since I've known you, you've been transparent about everything that's gone on in your life.
yeah,
You never close any of that off to people, which
yeah,
to me is very impressive because some people want to hide that stuff, and might as well just let everybody know, get it over with. I mean,
yeah.
you've never bragged about being in prison, and you made it known that you know that's not something that you're proud of,
Okay.
but you did take the time to do something productive, which was to hone in on your skills. And
Yeah.
so I commend you. I commend you for the way that you're an open person. You've never lied to me. You've always, you tell me everything, and
Yeah.
you know,
Um,
we love
um,
you.
Thank you for saying that. That makes me feel really good. I'm gonna tell you, it's really hard to tell people that, it's definitely not something I'm proud of. And it's not something that I want to keep putting out there. And eventually I'll stop saying that. But because our lives are an open book, if you're involved in social media in any aspect, like the last thing I would want is somebody is to lose credibility all over again for something that I didn't say, right? And so just because I was in prison doesn't mean that I was not this person before. I didn't find religion in prison. I didn't become a medium in prison. None of that. That was way before, right? And so it just allowed me to get better at what I do because there was not a whole lot to do other than, I mean, you could screw around and waste your day playing cards, or you could take the time and focus on what you want to get better at, right? So I had thousands of women come and go. It was a really bad experience for me. I went through a lot of prisons, a lot of transfer facilities, a lot of jails, and I spent a lot of time with a lot of women who were bored, and they let me experiment with them, and I did. So I used that time to do that and get better and test my knowledge and test my ability over and over and over with complete strangers who I never knew from before and would hopefully never run across again, right? And so it was like you can really pay for that experience. It's like, to me, I had to look at my life in a different way. I had a friend tell me, he's like, when you go in there, just think of yourself as a reporter and take notes so you can write your story after. And I
Yeah.
did. It's like it really helped me mentally go through that experience. And I was like, okay, I'm just here to experiment, to take notes, to learn, to study. And so I can write about it when I get out. I haven't been able to do that. I started the book. But things in life happen, for example, and not getting busy is not what I need. So like one of the things that happened to me after prison was I felt, um, so, okay, first of all, I'll say this. I'm a very strong person, you know, emotionally strong. I'm
Yeah.
not weak in the sense where prison didn't break me. But when I got out of prison, I went into a depressive state because I had so much before. I had a career, you know, it was a grand failure what got me into prison. So when I got out of prison, like I had basically shut it out. And when I got out of prison, it was like it hit me. I don't have a career, the professional career that I used to have. All my friends are gone for the most part. I mean, my true friends are still my friends, and I love very much so that they're still there for me. But I did lose a lot of so-called friends. And so all of these things got me depressed. I felt like a failure. I felt like, where am I going to go now that I'm out of prison? And one of the things that really hit me hard, and okay, so how can I say this? In my prior life, in my prior career, I didn't really let anybody know my skills or my gift because it would affect my professionalism and people wouldn't take me seriously because they think, oh, all of this stuff is like woo woo, you know, stuff that is not mainstream, right? So I
Right,
didn't
right.
want to lose, yeah, I didn't want to lose my professional um, esteem. So I would keep it to myself, and only my family and my close personal friends knew about it. And so I was pretty much like not in the closet, but I didn't come out and say, people who knew, and those who didn't, I didn't tell. Simple as
Right.
that. And so when I lost my career, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and now be who I am freely and openly and not care what people say. But now I'm like, oh my God, are they going to connect this with prison and think, okay, prison and this and, you know, like, so I'm kind of struggling with that a little bit, you know, and so we'll see where it goes from here. I'm struggling with it because a lot of people, and I'm talking of things I don't really know. I'm assuming that people think that when you go to prison, you find your religion in prison and you find, you know, whatever it is you find in prison and you bring it out with you. But for me, it's not like that. It was so present before and it was present during, and it's definitely better now, present and enhanced now.
Oh
So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, but on
Well,
the fun side of things, I will tell you this, all of those places that I was transferred from one place to another, I've been through so many prisons and jails. It was kind of cool to be able to see and feel all the paranormal stuff that happens and all the spirit world that, you know how people always go do investigations at prisons? Oh, dude, I lived it. So I lived from one prison to the next, and I saw a lot of stuff and heard and felt a lot of stuff. It was pretty amazing. So
well,
yeah.
well, I guess that's the one thing you can say that was pretty cool about going to
Yeah,
prison.
it was. I'm going to tell you, it was. Like, I will say that I saw some pretty, there's a lot of death that happens in prison,
Oh yeah.
a lot of violence. I've seen it, I didn't personally experience it, but I saw it all around me. I saw death around me, and I certainly saw the spirit world in the prison. So even, you don't have to go to an abandoned prison to see it. It happens, and you're able to see it. And I wasn't the only person that saw. There was other people who were not considered mediums who saw what I saw, the spirit world or ghost world in a prison.
Wow.
It's pretty neat, you know, like all that energy that's there. It's amazing what it stirs up. So yeah.
So you did your time. You come
Yeah.
out and you say you don't have your career,
Yeah.
but certain things opened up for you,
Yeah.
and now you're involved with television and
Yes.
your writing and all that kind of
Yes.
stuff. So I guess if you could say anything good came of it, there it is. But
Yeah.
I know it's a difficult road.
Yeah.
You know, I've been through a lot of that stuff, but I mean, you can talk about, you know, whatever you can talk about your projects. I don't want to give too
Yeah.
much away, but
Sure.
floor's
Okay.
yours.
Thank you. So I have two amazing projects right now underway. Thank you for asking me about that because it feels great to be able to share. So the first one is my project is called Pretty Girl Prison. And it was going to be just based on my experiences, but then the network that I'm working with, which is Urban Flix, I'm gonna plug them. So Urban Flix is a new streaming network that's similar to Netflix, but it's for the urban, population. It has more of an edge, I guess you would say. No, let me not say that. That's wrong. I can't say that. I don't know. They're comparable. I don't know. So Urban Flix is a streaming network like Netflix. And so my Pretty Girl Prison project was a little bit too flowery. So they're like, go make it a little bit more edgy. And I'm like, yeah, sure. It's like, I didn't even know how much I could include from what I saw. So I'm like, you know what? It's not a problem at all. So I'm like trying to be so nice and sweet about, the experiences. Are like, no, girl, give us what you actually saw. And like everything, they're like everything. I'm like, okay. So I got to writing this amazing script, I created the show, and let's see, I created 12, 13 episodes of it. And so I'm just waiting, everything's on hiatus right now due to COVID. So Hollywood is basically on lockdown and not, we're furloughed, we're not working. And so I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with that. But I keep getting the calls that say everything's a go as soon as we're able to go back to work. So I'm really excited about that. So I always say this, I'm just going to tell you, I was a lawyer in my past life.
Right.
And I hated every moment of it. I loved what I did because I took pride in my work. It's not something I wanted to do. I got convinced to do it by the man I was married to. Mm-hmm. And so I went through law school, became the best lawyer I could be. Then my career was turning political, and everything then happened, and I was slammed and lost everything. So went from high up to absolutely rock bottom. And so the book I'm writing has all aspects of all of that in it, which that book is what opened the door to this television series. And Urban Flix executive said to me, she's like, don't even bother with finishing the book because we're going to take it from this to this. And that's where we're at with that. So I never wanted to be a lawyer to begin with, but it still hurt to lose the career that I worked so hard for. But I'm also going to say that a lot of people lost a lot of money because of the decisions that I made or didn't make, right? So which landed me in prison. And so that's one thing. And now the other project that I'm working on is everything to do with my experiences on the paranormal side. And so on that one, we're looking, right now it's with the Travel Channel executives. And so we'll see, everything takes a lot of time for it to go from an idea to fruition. And so that one is, I'm not going to give out the title of that one because I can't, but it's a travel related show that uses my abilities and my daughter's ability. I have 2 daughters and they both have been blessed with this gift. The younger one, my daughters are 29 and 24. So the younger one is just coming into her own. She was afraid of it all and didn't want to accept it. But now that she's getting older, she realizes that it's not a matter of whether you want it or not. It's going to be there, and it just is, right? So like she fought it and fought it and fought it and was afraid of everything. But now it's like, she's okay with it. But the show is not focused on her. It's on my older daughter, the 29-year-old. And so there goes my puppy again. So she's the main protagonist, and I just come in to help out in areas where she has not fully developed her skills yet. So I'm like so low key, and I don't like to be in the spotlight. I'm kind of really shy, and I'm an introvert, so I'm really good just being at home, talking to my ghost. And but I also realized that I have to get myself out of that shell in order for me to start a new career and to actually make money and not just have this ability and not, earn an income along the way. So getting real, we all need to have money to pay our bills. I'm a single woman. And of course, there's nobody paying my bills but myself. So it's time for me to just it's time for me to let go of that introvertness, is that a word? Like the introverted side of me, and just come out and figure things out. So,
Well,
And yeah,
I have to say, I mean, you have a great personality and you're such a nice person. You should be just glowing because you're such a wonderful person
thank you.
and so giving. So I mean, you when we met, I mean, it's like we instantly became friends, and you know, you called me to go do an investigation at a house that you bought, and I was like, wow, here's this person. She just barely met me, but there was that friendship connection right there. And I know you're busy, so that's why I don't bother you a whole lot. But you know that we're always here for you.
Thank you.
And any guys that you're out there, you're watching, you're listening. Um, her name is Dr. Alexa Costa, and she's a
Thank you for
beautiful
that plug.
she's a beautiful woman, and she's got a great personality, and she's a wonderful person. So if you're missing out, you need to hit this woman up here.
Well, thank you for saying that. I'm gonna have to give the opposite side of that too. Thank you for saying it, but in fairness and full disclosure, I could be a no, we're not gonna use that word. Let me see. I could be stern, difficult, and I don't know, like, okay, so let me just say this. To me, business is more important than men. So sometimes I get lost in my work and I don't pay attention to the like dating side of things. And probably that's one of the reasons why I don't have a man. Because I'm like, yeah, so I don't know. I'm talking myself out of a man.
There's a good man out there that's willing to handle that. Oh,
Yeah, to handle that, that's a great way of saying it. I need somebody that knows how to handle me. I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not like this uber feminist, It's like the thing is like I have such a strong personality in a lot of ways. But it's not that I'm not nice or don't care or am not loving. It's just that things have to get taken care of. And if they don't
mhm.
get taken care of, if I don't take care of things that need to be taken care of, there's nobody doing it for me. And a lot of men don't understand that. So I'm not asking for somebody to come and rescue me. It's like, no, I just need somebody to like just handle things, just be okay with letting me handle what I need to handle and not getting intimidated or not thinking that, I mean, there's like, I'm so super chill. It's like no reason for a man to think that my ability is going to be spying on him or wondering what he's doing. I could care less. Like, just do you, I'll do me, and we're good. Right. So, I mean, that's how I see it. I'm an adult. We're all adults, right? So here, hopefully in this platform, there's no young children listening to all this. But when you're an adult, the last thing you need is somebody to run your life for you.
Yeah.
I guess there are some people that way, but people like myself, it's like I'm not interested in running someone's life. Don't run mine. I won't run yours. Do you? I'll do me. And it's all good.
Well, I will tell you, and my wife Michelle.
Yes.
Um, she's a very strong woman. She could take care of herself. She doesn't need me. She wants me to be there, and I respect the work that she does, and she is dedicated to her job, and she really does her job very well. And we still have our time together where it's like, okay, I put my work away, she puts her work away, we spend that time together.
Yeah.
And
That's nice.
but we understand, we both get pretty busy, and so that there's a respect there that, okay, this is your time, this is your job, your time with your job, you got to allow that. And people miss out on wonderful people
Yeah.
just because a woman that's independent, I think, is kind of intimidating to some people.
Yeah, thank you for the plug. I really appreciate it. And I'm not trying to talk myself out of a man. I'm really not. But I'm all about full disclosure. And but that is absolutely right. You hit it the nail on the head. It's hard for me to like use these euphemisms, but like it's wanting somebody to be there, not needing somebody to be there. Right? Of course, we all need each other. When you're looking for somebody to be in a relationship, you want to need them and they want to feel needed, but not needed to the point where your life is attached to theirs, and your outcome depends on their input, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not that woman. It's like I love my freedom, especially when it was taken away for so many years. And it
True.
doesn't mean like having freedom doesn't mean that you're going to go off and, you know, screw the world, right? Or go out with a million guys, or be talking to one guy while you have another. No, it doesn't mean that. It would be great to have somebody who understands who I am as a medium, as an intuitive, who understands that, is not afraid of it, is not intimidated by it, and also understands that I'm also a woman. I want to be taken care of in certain ways, and I want to be giving in certain ways, and also understand that it's not because I need somebody there, it's because I want somebody there. Just like what you said,
Exactly.
like, you know that you're wanted, and it feels good, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Say she could go on and take care of herself. She doesn't have to have me there. Just like you said, she wants me to be there.
yeah.
That's a good woman. There's a relationship that's there. You just got to find that right person. You know, that right key. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm getting old. So,
You do not look that
well,
old. Okay, guys, I'm not trying to be superficial here, but she's a gorgeous woman.
thank you for
So,
saying that. But I am, you know, I'm getting old, and thank you for saying it. But the truth is I am. And I'm like, okay, I've been 9 years divorced. That's a long time. And, you know, I'm going to say it's not 9 years divorced without, I didn't have my freedom for a lot of those years. I couldn't meet somebody, right? But now that I am free and have been for almost 3 years, it's difficult to find somebody, especially with when you add in the mix of the intuition and the mediumship. So it's hard.
well, look, there better be a good gentleman out there that wants to meet you. And I will tell them right now, if they come in and they treat you wrong, they've got to deal with me.
Okay, well, thank you.
So,
Thank you.
is there anything else that you can talk about your projects, or you can still kind of hush hush, can't say nothing?
Well, you know, so the biggest thing is without sharing too much. So the networks always tell us if we share too much, it's like giving it away to somebody else to pick up on that project, right?
Yeah.
So I will have to say that I want to just talk all about it, but I can't. But it is a a haunted travel related show, and it puts in our mediumship abilities, mother and daughter. And as I said to you before, we don't have our paranormal investigative team, which we've already talked about. Yes.
Yes,
And
you do.
I
Yes, you
do now.
do.
I do now, of course. You know, and we were having this conversation earlier. This circle, the paranormal world, if you will, is such a small circle. I was very surprised to know that you know who I know, and you know, it's kind of and across the country, or no, across the world, on the other side of the world.
Hmm.
And it's such a small world, right? So I do, and we on the other end, this is Paranormal UK that we were talking about. We were having the conversation how we have to help each other out, right? Because
Yes.
it's a small niche. There's not a lot of people. There are many people that are into the paranormal, but there's a very small group of people that dedicate themselves to it, right?
Yes.
And so if you don't help each other out, there's no room here for egos and for rivalries and none of that. You know, we're all the same, and we're all going after the same goal. And your experiences are different than my experiences. It's kind of cool to be able to sit down and share and see how we can help each other out. So I'm completely about that. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, you know my stance on it. If you're
yeah,
in the paranormal and you're serious about the paranormal, you know, we're supposed to be like a family. Even if I don't know you,
yeah,
but you're serious about the paranormal, then you're part of my family.
that's how I feel too. Yeah,
And, you know, a lot of people that do like podcasts like mine, they just promote their stuff. That's great if it works for them, but to me, it's not a rivalry. It's we're just helping each other out. You know, I build
right.
you up, and then certainly if I do that for you, you're going to do that for me. And
Absolutely.
I mean, you meet so many great people. I've become friends with the guys from Ghost Hunters, and
Nice.
you know, they're doing a lot to help me out, and they're there for me when I message them, and it's that is unity. I'll have to say, those guys on Ghost Hunters, they don't act like they're celebrities. You know,
That's amazing.
I don't know if you call them D-listers or C-listers. I don't know what you call them, but
We're not going to
they
use any of that.
whatever
But yeah.
they call that, but they don't act like any kind of celebrity. They still are very active on social media with all the different groups and things that people come up with, and they're there to help. And you know, that's the way everybody should be. If I don't make it on television, but if I do something that helps you to get on television, I've accomplished something.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, I feel the same way too. You know, it's like it's really tough in this world to begin with, right? It's tough in business. It's tough to get your foot in the door. And
Mhm.
so relationships mean a lot. It matters a lot. So yeah, so I didn't mean, I know you don't mind, but I didn't mean to like give a plug here and there, but
Oh,
you were really good anyways. This is my puppy Pepe. So,
Pepe.
hi, Pepe. He had a rough day. He knows what happened, and he was kind of sad all day long.
Oh,
But he's all right now. So one
órale,
thing,
órale, Pepe.
so he's named after this character on a show called, it's a Netflix show called Made in Mexico, and Pepe is the bad boy in the show. And so I named him after him. Actually, my daughter named him after that guy. So, yeah.
Well,
So actually, one thing, do we have time?
sure.
Or do we?
I
I don't
give
even
you
know.
it's been almost an hour, but I'll give you a little bit of time, whatever
You
you
know,
need.
all right. One thing I did want to talk about was I kind of forgot. I should have said it earlier. But like all the pressure that I feel as an intuitive, like, talking about these shows, right? And the reason it comes up is because in a chat earlier, like earlier in the week, somebody was like knocking one of the paranormal investigators on TV, and I'm like, the guy's doing what he does best. He's giving the audience what they want, which is entertainment, which is sex appeal. And then I'm like, dang, is that the pressure I'm going to be under if the show gets officially picked up? And as a medium, it's like one of the things for me, even though I've been doing it for 2 decades plus, one of the things that really rattles me is when somebody puts me to the test, right? So like they were saying, oh, this guy's fake. I'm like, okay, but maybe he's not, right? Maybe he's the showmanship is coming out and he has to do what he has to do for the camera. And then it started like affecting me personally from the standpoint that I do feel, even to this day, when I do readings for people or when I go into a home to feel, I mean, it always works out in the end, but dang, sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, the pressure is on. And, what if I'm wrong, or what if things don't come through? And all of these thoughts go through my head. And it's like, I calm down. It's part of like, part of it is being introverted, right? And so a lack of confidence comes through sometimes because it's like, I feel the pressure of everybody wanting perfection. And, what I do is not perfection. And I could I could give you a good show, but how do you know I'm not just saying whatever I want to say, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes when you keep things authentic, which I'm keeping it authentic, sometimes it's kind of like scary in the sense that it's like the fear of failure is there for sure. And especially when people give you the pressure of like testing you. So having said
Yeah.
that, yeah, I've been tested so many times, and like I've been tested again and again. And thankfully, the people who've given me like reviews online and stuff, and they will say it. I've tested her. I tried to block any like energy, which is horrible, right? As a medium, we read energy. So if you're blocking your energy, it just makes it harder for me to read what's going on. But yeah, so that was one of the things I just wanted to get out there for everybody who is wanting a good experience when they go see a medium. Don't block your energy, because it's what we use to do our work best, right? So why give us a hard time when you don't have to? Giving us a hard time makes it hard for you, right? Not you, but generally. And it also makes it harder for us to do our job and to give an accurate reading. So don't test the medium. It sucks to people who do that. Like really, it's like I don't know why somebody would pay good money to have a medium read for them and then they block energy to test. It makes no sense. Yeah.
Well, I can say, knowing you, that you're 100% legit.
Thank you.
You're an open book, as I said before. You're not going to come on television and just, put out a BS show where,
Yeah.
oh, you say whatever. No, you're legit.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me to say about mediums, because I always had this, I didn't believe in it. I thought it was a bunch of, tricks.
Yeah.
Listen to my conversation, you figure out what I'm, by my ticks or whatever, to
Yeah.
ask questions. But y'all didn't do that with me. And between you and Nayeli and Max, I became a believer.
Thank you. Yeah. I actually don't ask questions when somebody comes to me. I always tell them right off the bat, it's like, don't tell me anything. I don't like, of course, if they're coming in for a normal reading, I want to know what type of reading they want. But I always tell them, like, don't give me any details. I don't ask them any questions until after, like, my reading portion has already been done. Then it's like, okay, give me feedback. Did I address or hit on the nail on the head with what you were looking for? And I will have to say almost every single time it's yes. Sometimes people don't hear what they came to hear, and they'll hear things that they were not expecting, but things I wouldn't know anyways, right? So like, for example, they might come here to see, I mean, I don't even want to go into that, but like they'll come in with a certain mindset of wanting to know something very specific, but I might not know that their boyfriend was wearing a green jacket when they died, but I'll know what was in his pocket and what was happening and how he died.
Yeah.
So it's like they didn't hear what they wanted to. Like that's the kind of like putting the medium to the test. Like, what color was his jacket? Well, I don't know. Let's see what comes through. And so when the things that come through are things I would never have known, it's like, oh, okay, then they start, all right, so she's good. And they start relaxing and they start, but it makes my nerves like get frazzled because it's like, it's kind of like an algebra test, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So in that sense, like, you know what I mean? Like when they put you to the test like that, it's like, wow, they're expecting answers that, that's not how mediumship works.
Yeah.
And so the way it works, yeah.
It's just rude.
It's rude, yeah, and it's definitely rude, and it's not how it works. So how it works is or me, I'm gonna talk about me personally. I don't know about other mediums, but how it works for me is that I read your energy, I soak it in. It's telepathy, it's energy, it's a feeling, it's emotion. All these things come together, they work together to like formulate this picture in my mind, or a feeling or a sensation that I'm able to tell you, okay, this is what has come through. So it's not like when I say something comes through, it's not like I'm sitting there all the time. Sometimes yes, but not like every single time I'm having a direct conversation with your departed loved one. It's not like that. Sometimes it is, but many times it's not. Many times it's the energies that you're giving off that allow me to pick up on it, that give me the answers that you're wanting. But I don't know how that works, right? So, I mean, if any one of us knew how that worked, we would all be really rich, or all of us could be able to do it. But I do know that these vibrations that we send off, every one of us has energy around us. We're beings made of energy. Your kitty cat is energy, right?
In a
So,
pain in the butt.
yeah, but so like that's how I read somebody, and that's how I read a home when I go into a house or a building or a business. I read the energy, that's residual energy that's there, that's been left behind, and that energy then translates in my head into visions or discussions, conversations with what I call the spirit world. So yeah.
So I'm going to ask you this, and I hope you don't mind me asking, but do you do that remotely as well?
Yes, definitely. A lot of people ask me that. Can I do it by phone, on the internet, by email? Yeah, I can. So and this is how I explain to people who reach out to me, like from the moment they reach out to me, whether it's an email, a text, or I hear their voice, their message to me sends that energy, and I'm able to pick it up, just like I know in an instant whether I want to read for that person or not. So if there's this guy out there on the internet that's still waiting for my phone call that I promised I would call over the weekend, my energy said, don't do it. So I didn't do it. Even though I said I was going to call him, I didn't, because the energy was so heavy for me not to. Like, I felt my energy was telling me that he had ulterior motives with me wanting to reach out to him. And even though he had the pretense of all these things that is just what I do for a living, my energy told me otherwise. And so we have to trust our gut, right? And so that's our instinct, and if you will, we all have that. And some of it is more developed than others. But yeah, so we definitely can read from far away. This gentleman was actually in a different country, and I was able to read him. He didn't like, I wasn't getting paid to read him. I was reading him for my own personal gain, whether I wanted to do business with him or not, right? So this energy flows for me from the moment that you communicate with me in any form. I pick it up, and it's almost always spot on.
Do you get those people that try to trick you into giving them information for free?
No, I don't have, unfortunately, I am fortunate not to have that. Like okay, so how can I say this? I limit the amount of readings that I do and the people who I read for. And fortunately for me, it's a lot of word of mouth, and I keep pretty busy. But when I say I keep pretty busy, it's not that my calendar is full. When I open my calendar, again, I'm introverted, so I'm shy. I don't always have my calendar open. So I have very limited openings, and because it's draining as well. So most of my appointments that I have are very selective and by word of mouth mostly. So yeah, I need to change that, because I can't, because of COVID, my major projects are all on hold. And so I do make my money. Part of my income comes from the readings that I do, but I don't open my calendar too much, and I think I should. So I think one of those things and reasons why I don't, I used to be very active on Airbnb experiences, if you've ever heard of that. And then last year I was selected, I'm going to toot my horn, but also give you the negative part of it. So I was selected as one of the 2019 top 10 experiences in the nation. Mm-hmm. And with that came a lot of pressure. I felt so much pressure to like keep up that rating or keep up that, I don't know, the top spot, like I just felt a lot of pressure, and it took away the pleasure of what I do. Like, I'm a medium, I do it, I read for people when I want to read for people, because I didn't need to do it for money. It's nice to have the extra income and the income from a third source. It's nice to have it, but my main focus wasn't money. And when I received this accolade or recognition, I was inundated with people wanting to test me, wanting to see was it worth what Airbnb was putting out. It was just horrible, actually. And so I love that I was selected, but it also came with a very negative downside. Mm-hmm. And so I shut myself off actually from doing a lot of readings after that. And I was like, okay, now it's like I'm needing to because of COVID, and my first income is gone for right now. So I need to get myself back up there and open up my calendar. And I've been doing it a little bit. I've been opening up my calendar to referrals. Yeah. So.
Yeah. One of the things that I've made a rule on my show is if I'm going to do the show, I'm not going to ask, anybody with your abilities to do a reading on my show. And because it is rude. I mean, this is your livelihood, and it seems tacky to me to do something like that. Somehow, even though I don't ever ask, somebody always sees like a spirit behind me or something like that, and of course they're free to tell me, but I do not ask. But we're going to have a live show coming up on Paranormal Warehouse. Yes, I'm plugging my other show called Transcendental Night Offering. and night is spelled Knight, to have to do with my persona, Coyote Night. Um, and one of my considerations is I'd like to have somebody come on, and maybe we can get a few people that'll message in or whatever, and maybe ask a few questions if you're up to it. And feel free to say no, but if
Mhm.
you're up to it, maybe you could be on one of these.
Okay, so let me think about that. And it sounds fun. I'm going to say that that type of show would be for fun,
Hmm.
right? As opposed to like for the viewers not to like have these grand expectations. And I'm going to say why. So the way I work, you and I, like as I said, I was reading for you. And well, let me say this. I didn't want to say it to you, but I do see what other people have seen around you. I don't volunteer. I see it and I feel it and I sense it, but I see it. So looking at you, sometimes I have to look away because I'm not just seeing you. So
Well, it's because of how ugly I am, I know.
no, let's talk about what's behind you in presence and spirit presence, right? And so it's there for sure. And it's sometimes I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to what's behind you, and I don't really want to. Um, I'm trying to block it off because you didn't ask me to read for you, and I never tell people what I see um, because sometimes people don't want to know, right? So, okay, so having said that, I do see what's there for you. Um, okay, so on a show like that, for me, if I were reading for you and you call in, I may be able to pick up something right away, which most of the time, yes, I can. But if you're looking for something really specific, it takes an exchange of energy, right? So you and I, like sometimes, how can I say this? Sometimes things pop into my head really quickly, and I'm able to tell you the things that you're wanting to know. But sometimes it's like a slow process, especially if the person is anxious or blocking their energy. It takes a little bit of time. So it puts a lot of pressure on the medium, and it puts a lot of expectation from the person calling in.
Yeah.
So let me think about that. Maybe there would be a different way. Maybe well, whatever. We can talk about that and see, because there are different ways that we can do that. So I want
Yeah.
people to have the best experience from the medium that they can get, and sometimes those type of setups are setups. you
Yeah,
know,
I hear you. I hear you.
yeah,
Well, I'd say that there's no pressure there. And
yeah,
if you don't feel comfortable with it, I totally understand.
yeah,
I just, I thought I'd ask a few people, and if you want to, you're more than welcome.
yeah.
And
I'm
so,
inclined. Yeah, I'm inclined to do it. But it just so yes, thank you for that. And I just don't want to set up somebody with false expectations, right? But
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
but it might be the most beautiful reading they've ever had. So you never know. So you just never know what comes through. So
well, I believe in it, but I do stress that you should look at this as entertainment, even though I know that the information is accurate. Use it as entertainment, because if you
yeah,
do something that, oh well, I think you should go jump off a roof, and you go jump off the roof, then I get in trouble. I'm
yeah.
just take it as you like, but it's for entertainment.
I love that you said that because you and I were thinking along the same thing. When you just said that, I was thinking in my head, people get distraught over what they hear,
Hmm.
right? You never know how they're going to take it. And so I like to say that I am a very, what's the word? Like a responsible reader,
Hmm.
right? So even though sometimes I might be getting the most negative things come through, I will find a way not to lie to the person about what's coming through, but I will find a way to word it in such a way that it doesn't scare them or cause them to, I mean, I can't control everything, right? But I try not to put people in distress with the
Yeah.
things that I see or feel or hear. But sometimes they have to be said, right? And sometimes if they want to hear it and they're saying, okay, I want to hear it no matter how bad it is or how negative or how hurtful, it's like, okay, are you sure? I mean, I'll tell you. Sometimes I hold back a little bit because sometimes what I feel and see is so difficult that I know it'll be so hard for the person on the other end to receive that message that I kind of hold back. I don't change the message. I just sometimes hold back a little bit unless I can say for sure that you can never know for sure, but you could get a feeling for somebody if they're mentally stable enough to hear it, or if they're so depressed or sad or overwhelmed with grief that maybe they won't be able to take it. And so I just don't. And that to me is being responsible, a responsible medium, and
Yeah.
giving messages, that are needed to be heard, but in a responsible way.
Well, I was a supervisor for 13 years, and I'm happily retired. Thank you. But for those 13 years, I had to learn how to talk to people that goes with their personality too, because you can
Yeah,
talk to one person sternly and they take it and they do exactly what you say, and then the next person you got to kind of wear kid gloves. And
yeah,
I don't care. There's probably supervisors out there say, you got to be tough on them all the time. No, you got to learn people and you got to know
yeah,
how to talk to them.
right,
And if you don't know them, then you kind of do have to wear kid gloves. You
yeah,
don't you don't know how they're going to react, and I don't want to be blamed for, you know, oh well, this is the way it's got to be, and things go haywire.
yeah. That's exactly, exactly what I mean. It's like sometimes you take every person as they come, you figure out the best of your ability, which way works best in communicating with them, and what can they receive and not be so detrimentally affected by it.
Yeah,
So you don't want that on your shoulders. I don't want it on my shoulders.
yeah.
So
And,
yeah,
and some people are going to only hear what they want to hear. They're not
yeah,
going to hear the whole story, and they're going to take it the
yes,
way they want to take it, and you never know how that's going to work out. But
yeah. So for entertainment purposes, amazing. Yeah.
yeah, it's fun. I've been on a
It's
few of
fun.
those shows, and it is fun. So,
Yeah.
um, we've actually been on here for over an hour. It goes by fast when you're having fun.
Yeah, it does. I just kicked my own setup here. I kicked it. Sorry. But yeah, well, thank you for having me as
Of
always. It's
course.
been a pleasure. And thank you for I really love our conversation. It goes really smoothly and it's like no pretense. I really love it. So thank you.
Well, I want everyone that comes on the show to feel like the guests that they are and feel welcome
Thank
and
you.
feel comfortable. Um,
Well, thank you.
I know you're working on social media right now because
Yeah.
of the new projects and everything, but what you do have a Facebook and a Instagram?
Yeah, so my Facebook is Dr. Alexa Costa. So that's Dr. dot and then Alexa Costa, Costa. And my Instagram is under My Hollywood Medium.
Okay. Everybody heard that? Go out there and follow her, and
Yeah.
I promise you'll fall in love with her like me and my family did.
Thank
And
you.
you're welcome on this show anytime. You know you are.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you for that plug. And I look forward to the next time.
All right. And as soon as those projects come out, we're going to blast
Calling.
that on social media and get people watching because I know it's going to be wonderful.
Thank you. All right, great. Thank you. Nice to be on your show again.
Well, we appreciate it, and we appreciate y'all tuning in. And please subscribe, pass it on to your friends. Let's build this up because there's so many interesting people that I think that others need to hear from, and know that these people, even when they're on television and things like that, they're human beings. They want to be treated like human beings. So don't forget that.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much, Alexa, and we will talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right.
Po boy.